Today I will be debunking the top misconceptions about being disabled that I see online. The first misconception that I see online is that being disabled is easier than working a full-time job. While working a full-time job obviously is not easy, and capitalism sucks and people get very tired from the jobs and stuff like that, at least if you're working a 9 to 5, when you're not doing that 9 to 5, you get some time to relax. Disability is 24/7. You have no breaks, and you had to go through a lot of stuff that most people never had to go through their whole entire lives. Think about the time that you're at your worst point and imagine being there every single day. Even on your good days, it's still, I would prefer working over being disabled any day. Which brings me to my next misconception, that people would rather be on disability than be working. The vast majority of people on disability would rather be working if they were given a chance, because again, it's not easier. A lot of people who are disabled, including myself, have gotten really down in the dumps, crying, really sad because of the fact that we can't work. We want to go back to work, we wish that we could work, we just can't. It's not a choice, it's not something that we can do if we want, we desperately want to, we just can't. That's the whole entire point of being disabled. That brings me to my next misconception, which is that people who are disabled can just do whatever they want all day, while other people are off working a 9 to 5, or other people are off working, we're at home and we can just lay around, we can go on all these vacations, we can do whatever we want, and that's not how it is. A lot of people who are disabled struggle to even take basic care of themselves. They struggle to take care of their hygiene, they struggle to feed themselves, they struggle to just do basic things around the house. They can't even do chores around the house. The things that people do when they come home from work, they can't even do. And so it's not like we can sit around and do whatever we want all day. In fact, we can't do most of the things that we want, including things that we enjoy. It's not just stuff that we don't want to do that we can't do. We are unable to do things that bring us joy. We're unable to do our hobbies, our interests, things that make us happy. And so that's why a lot of people who have this misconception that we're just lazy and can conveniently just not do something just because we don't want to do it. No, we can't do things that we want to do either. That brings me to my next misconception, which is that the government pays us a whole bunch of money, and that money makes sure we can do whatever we want every day. No, my partner, who is disabled, was only getting $500 a month for the longest time. Now think about your rent, think about your bills, think about the money you spend on food every month, think about all the things you have to buy, and imagine only getting $500 a month. Nobody can survive on $500 a month. That doesn't even nearly cover our rent, but that was all that they were getting. And they're getting a little bit more now, but it's barely even more than that. It still doesn't really cover our rent and bills and stuff. So people who are on disability barely get anything from the government. In fact, the government puts a limit on how much money disabled people can have in their bank accounts. So for example, if you are on SSI, you can only have $2,000 in your bank account at any point, which is barely anything. Think about the amount of money that you guys sometimes have in your bank account. Again, think about the money you need for rent and bills and stuff. And imagine never being able to go over $2,000. Nobody can survive like that, and you can't save up for the things that you need. Not to mention that being disabled is very expensive. Think about all the medicines and aids and stuff that you need. Think about the sensory headphones that somebody who's autistic might need. Think about the cane or the wheelchair that somebody must need. Think about all these things that somebody might need because of their disability, all the co-pays that they had to pay for doctor's visits. It all adds up. Which brings me to my next misconception, and that is that the government pays for the things that you need if you are approved for disability, which is not true. Just because you're on disability does not mean that the insurance that you have is going to cover the specialists that you need for your disability, for the thing that you're literally on disability for. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to see a good doctor, or even a doctor at all, if you can't find one in your area that takes Medicaid. It doesn't mean that if you need a caretaker that you're going to be given a caretaker. It doesn't mean if you need some type of special service, let's say speech therapy classes, or you need to see a dentist or an eye person, it doesn't mean that you are going to get the services that you need just because you're approved for disability. I also want to add that the government makes it really hard for disabled people to be able to get married, because if they get married and your spouse is having even just a normal income coming in, they would take away your benefits. And so a lot of disabled people don't get married even if they want to, because their benefits should be taken away even if your spouse is barely making enough to survive. So that's another thing that people don't understand about disability. Another misconception about people with disability, sorry, excuse my cat, is that people who are disabled could work if their absolute life depended on it. If it was a life or death situation, that person would be able to work in order to survive or in order to feed their family or their kids. A lot of people will say, well, yeah, I'm disabled, and again, you can be disabled. There's different severities of it, but some people are I have to work, or else I wouldn't be able to provide for my husband or my wife or my kids. But that's not always a choice for some people. There are people who are on disability that even if their life depended on it, they would die if the options were either work or not work. They would not be able. That's why so many people are homeless. That's why we have such a wide homeless population. Why some people's disabilities kill them is because they're not able to provide for themselves, because it's not a choice, it's not an option. And if it truly were a choice, then people would be able to do the things that they enjoy in life, and they would be able to work if survival was necessary for it. And there's a lot of people who are not able to work even if it is a survival thing, and they're not able to do the things that they enjoy, as long with the things that they don't enjoy. So I hope this video cleared up some misconceptions. Here's my cat. I hope this video cleared up some misconceptions about people with disability. And disability has no age as well. A lot of people think that you have to be older to have health problems, you have to be older to be disabled, or that disabilities are always visible. Disabilities can be invisible. You can't always tell by looking at somebody that's disabled, and they can affect people of any age group. Have a great day.